Hi guys, welcome to another video tutorial with me, Claris. In this video, we are going to explore a little bit more with our Karin brush markers. And I did a previous video showcasing how you can get basic flowers using the Karin brush markers. And in this video today, we're going to explore what if you don't have a lot of time to paint, you just have the markers, you don't want to really bust out your watercolors. So these markers are great for quick little doodle sketches, and this is what we are going to be doing today. I am linking the video for the basic flowers, not quite exactly this version, but how to get basic flowers in the description, so feel free to check that out. Before we begin, let me just quickly go through the supplies I'm using. So for my Karin brush markers, I don't have the whole set, but I do have the metallic pink, metallic light green, metallic copper, and then the metallic violet. For paper, I'm going to be using my Baohong watercolor paper. I also have a little mixing palette to the side because today we're going to also get used to how do we mix these colors on a palette. And then for brushes, you all know I love my Princeton brushes. So I'm going to be using my Princeton Velvetouch number 4, Princeton Heritage 0, and I'm keeping the Princeton 6 handy. I'm not quite sure if we'll end up using it, but we will see. And I'm also going to keep Payne's Gray handy on the side because today what I would like to explore is painting loose little flowers, like almost like a bouquet, and then having it in a vase. So fingers crossed, let's just see how this turns out. And last but not least, before I begin, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button, especially if you like painting for fun and experimenting and all that good stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is get some of the pink because I love pink. And we're going to add a little bit on here on our palette. A little goes a long way. So I'm going to show you this technique, and then we're also going to get, I need a little bit more water. We're also going to use the technique of just getting it directly onto our paper and going from there. So here we go. I'm getting some water and going to mix some of that. Look how potent that is, right? So we're gonna start off with doing a couple of dabs. So let's just say this is the area where we'll have our flowers. So I'm just gonna do a couple of like really cute, quick flowers just like that. And then as I'm going along, I'm just going to dip in water to get a more muted version of the color. And then I'm also touching the first flower just to kind of fluff things up. So kind of like that. So we're using this exact technique and creating a bunch. So here we go. Let's do a couple more. I'm going to do some at the top. Getting some water on my brush, creating just little strokes that way. Getting more of this, adding it right here. I think it makes sense to have the darkest versions of the flower or the mix at the bottom because it's all shadowy there. I'm gonna get more, let's just give it a little bit more structure. So you wanna paint these loose flowers in a fashion that kind of like giving it a shape, giving your composition a shape. So feel free to explore what kind of shape you would like. I think I'll have a little bit of mine standing upward a little. Let's just see. Now I'm taking a ton of water and I'm just adding these little puddle-like clusters of flowers, okay? Because then we're gonna take some of our purple and go in and add some flowers. And I would like for the purple to bleed into the pink. So that's my thought process there. I have some of my purple. I'm gonna get some happening right here, some right here. And can you guess why? If you guessed it's because it's still damp and I want the flare of color, you are right. Give yourself a pat on the back. You are that much closer to understanding how this medium works, even though this isn't exactly watercolor, but I guess you could call it watercolor because it's spreading with water, and that's typically what watercolor is all about. So look at these beautiful gradients that you're able to get. This is lovely. So we're just going to go ahead and create a couple more. Drop some color in here and there. Then I'm really watering this down. Let's get some really nice watered down, loose, purpley flowers. Some at the top. I'm just kind of going around fixing the shape of how this looks. And then let's get right into doing a little bit of green. Get some green onto my palette. And for this part, I'm going to use the 0. And I'm actually going to mix a little bit of the green with my purple because I don't like this green all that much, in the sense that it's a bit too bright for my liking. And I found that when you mix it with the purple, you get like a nice grayish tone tinge to it, which I like. So here we go, just using the tip of my brush, and this is a beautiful brush to get some super thin lines. I'm just connecting some of the flowers. Feel free to even go in and add little strokes like this to kind of show leaves, just really making it delicate and cute. This is why I call this like a watercolor doodle, because you're literally just going with the flow, you're relaxing, you're chilling, you are exploring and expressing. So the most leaves, or you get better leaves on the outskirts. On the inside, I guess you could do little dabs of green to indicate leaves. So for instance, in these areas that are very white, I'm just dropping in some little leafy strokes. Make a cute little pretty bouquet of flowers. And then as we're going on the outskirts, feel free to drop in little dots like this or little shapes like this to kind of just indicate fluffing. And fluffing is simply a term that I have come up with or coined, and it's just represents a little bit of a fade. So we go lighter as we go towards the edges with these colors. That is all that really means. So again, different variations of the colors that you've used to bring more harmony within your painting. That's what we're doing right now. And once we're done this, we can now do the vase. So for the vase, I'm going to use the bronze. The bronze has been spilling a lot, so, and I have a sneaky suspicion it is the way it is because one of my kids probably got to this, because the other colors seem perfectly fine. So let's just see what we're able to get with the bronze. I'm not quite liking what's happening here on my palette, but I don't know. Let's just Let's just press down and see if we can get a nice darker version of this. But the nib looks to be completely mutilated. Kids, y'all. Gotta love them. Surprise! Okay, so I'm mixing some of that in here. Let's just see how this transitions. I'm not sure. So using the tip of my brush, I'm going to do a little bit of a curve, like so. We're freestyling this as well. And then getting some water, getting a little bit more color, more water than color. I'm going to give it a nice little curved shape, like so. Not bad. And then instead of painting it all in, I'm just dabbing more of the brown at the top and then getting more of the color. I'm going to drop some down here. I just really want that portion to be more darker, getting us some nice shadowy areas, and then I'm doing more of more layers at the bottom as well, just here, and just allow the color to kind of sit. And that's pretty much all there is to this. Let me just make this wider. Sometimes I get so fixated on symmetry and stuff like that, but I want to remind myself and want to remind you guys as well that this is just a loose rendition or a loose style of painting in watercolor. So it's meant to be more relaxing than nerve-wracking trying to get things symmetrical and such, but it does happen. Just adding a little bit more color down here. And we are good. Let's move on from here. So now from here, all I'm going to do is get a little bit of, because we don't really have yellow with this, I'm going to get a little bit of yellow and just add some of that into the flower centers. So any yellow you have is great. I prefer using a cadmium medium lemon for such things, especially when the colors are pretty and bright. Then it gives a little bit of pop to our pinks and such. Okay, so just like that, it's very subtle. And then last but not least, I want to give the bottom portion of this to be a little bit more heavier in terms of the color. So I'm just getting a little bit more purple because we've got lots of pink happening. And then using the number 4, mixing some of that purple. And we're just going to drop that in here in these areas and get some darker looking flowers. Maybe some in between as well. Take this time to kind of really get in and add some nice darker looking variations of flowers in between. It really bumps up the quality and also the depth of your painting. Okay, so I got enough purple in there. Let's do a little bit of pink, and then I think we can definitely call it wraps. Or wrap it up rather. Call it quits and wrap it up. There we go. Okay, so what I'm also doing is some areas are still damp where it's pink. So I'm dropping in some of this pink to almost give it like a second layer. So wet on wet. I'm gonna drop some flowers onto the sides. And some in between, like I had mentioned. So if you're overlaying on top of other flowers, that's also good. You're actually building up on, or you're layering rather. So totally okay. Adding a little bit off to the outskirts, and then I think we are done. So this was simple enough, right? Like you can literally take this concept and create so much, whether it's scrapbooking or in your Bible or wherever. A card if you're making one for a friend. And yeah, this is it. So just wanted to give you guys an idea of what my end results looks like. I did this showing you guys the technique over a video, and then I went ahead while I was loosened up and created a bunch more. So feel free to enhance what you have learned from this and create little pots in different shapes, colors, sizes, and create your own little pretty garden picture, potted plant picture, I guess. I even realized when I stood up that my shape was off, and so I ended up doing taking more of the Mars Brown and going over in this area specifically, and I kind of really like how this turned out. So you know what, never shy away from things. If you're trying to fix things, this is the best way to learn. So that's it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I cannot wait to see your versions of this. So please do tag me on social media. I've listed my handles below. And lastly, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week for a new video. Thanks, guys. Bye.